Hello students, welcome to the daily news analysis. I am your educator Prithviraj Singh. We'll begin our newspaper discussion for 17th of February 2022. Let us start with the first slide. Now on the front page of the Hindu, you had a news article about tribunal appointments being taken lightly. So Supreme Court is saying that the appointments to the administrative tribunals are being taken lightly by the central government. Right, that means central government is not showing seriousness with respect to the appointments for tribunals. Now it has said that instead the center is cherry picking names for appointments to tribunals. Cherry picking means they are appointing those members into the tribunals who are possibly their close acquaintances or their supporters, right? So that is called as cherry picking, right, or favoritism. Now guys, tribunals are the semi-judicial or quasi-judicial bodies, right, and because the regular courts, that means the High Court and the Supreme Court, they are already overburdened, right? They are already overburdened with many cases, right? So they don't have time to decide over this and decide over the disputes relating to many government departments, right? For example, let's say any dispute with respect to GST department, Goods and Service Tax department, right? So administrative tribunal is being set up at GST itself, and the service related disputes or disputes related to service matter would be adjudicated and dealt in the GST 80. Similarly, there are many other administrative tribunals like GST 80, Income Tax 80 Administrative Tribunal, Railway Administrative Tribunal, so on and so forth, right? In this sense, administrative tribunals actually lessen the burden over the regular courts, right? And the disputes related to departments are being settled there itself, right? Although the tribunals are definitely a parallel judicial system or parallel judicial structure, but guys, they were not given the constitutional legal status since the year 1976. Amendment was being made into the Constitution, 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, and this amendment, this amendment inserted part 14A into the Constitution, giving a constitutional legal status to administrative tribunals, right? So now they do have the administrative tribunals do have the constitutional legal status, and this has been done by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976, which inserted part 14A in the Constitution, right? So this is how the article actually is dealing, that there is huge vacancy in the tribunals and still the government is taking the issue lightly and they are not actually serious about the appointments. Let us understand administrative tribunals. As I said, that administrative tribunals are being set up, were being given constitutional legal status under 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, which inserted part 14A in the Constitution, right? So read it as 14A in the Constitution, which inserted Article 323A for the administrative tribunals and 323B for tribunals for other matters, right? So tribunals for other matters are being formed under 323B, and administrative tribunals are formed under Article 323A, right? So very, very important, and I expect a question on this, right? It's very important, guys, right? Moving ahead, as I said that, guys, these are judicial or quasi-judicial, semi-judicial bodies to reduce the caseload over the regular courts, right? But the problem here is that they don't enjoy the same level of independence as enjoyed by the Supreme Court and the High Court judges, right? So the judicial bodies like the Supreme Court and the High Court enjoy independence. The same independence is not being enjoyed by them, right? even Supreme Court has said that, has recommended instead that all the administrative matters be managed by law ministry, right? That means rather than the ministry associated with the subject area, right? For example, any today what is happening, that any matter with which is there sub judice under in GST department would be adjudicated by GST Administrative Tribunal, GST 80, right? GST 80, correct? And the GST 80 is being managed by Finance Ministry, right? So instead Supreme Court said that similarly you have Railway Administrative Tribunal being managed by Ministry of Railways. So Supreme Court said that instead of having separate ministries with the subject areas, why not all the administrative tribunals come under the law ministry, right? So this way it would ensure their transparency and their relevancy, right? Also, court recommended the creation of Independent National Tribunal Commission, right? That an Independent National Tribunal Commission be set up for the administration of tribunals, and these recommendations have not been although implemented, right? So these are the recommendations of the Supreme Court, right? Now these are some major issues. As I said that they don't enjoy the same degree of independence from executive as the courts that they replace, and even the decision making is not quicker, guys. And there is also, they say that the constitutional standing of tribunals have also been questioned, particularly that whether the jurisdiction of high courts and the Supreme Courts can be removed, right? Because they always would be working under the broad contours or jurisdiction of the High Court and the Supreme Court, right? So can it be removed, right? And in 1986 the Supreme Court ruled that Parliament may create an alternative to High Court provided that they have the same efficacy as that of the High Courts, right? So guys, many pending cases are still there in tribunals, and many things it has to be expedited, right? Now a Tribunal Reforms Act was being passed in the year 2021 as through the route of ordinance, and it actually sought to dissolve 8 tribunals which possibly the government felt were not up to the mark, or possibly they were dysfunctional, and those would be dissolved and their functions would be transferred to the regular courts, right? So this was the Tribunal Reforms Act. Plus it also proposes changes in the process of appointment of certain tribunals, right? Very important. So in this way it would also be changing the process of appointment of certain other tribunals, and also the service condition for the members of the tribunals, right? I hope it was clear. The second news article in the Hindu newspaper talked about the Armed Force Special Powers Act. In short, we call it AFSPA, right? AFSPA. You all know, guys, elections are due in the state of Manipur, our northeast state, and AFSPA is operating in Manipur, right? Many political parties, definitely today we have BJP in coalition with the political party, correct, whose chief minister of Nagaland is Nymphu Rio, right? They are saying that AFSPA has to be repealed from Manipur as well. Now guys, AFSPA actually gives extraordinary powers to the armed officials to curb the violence. The government the parliament felt that there is an increase in the cases of violence in northeast. So in 1958 the Nehru administration continued AFSPA, and I intentionally say continued because AFSPA for the first time was being enacted by British Parliament in the year 1942 to curb Quit India movement. So the movements on the Quit India movement, right? Quit India movement, where Gandhi rose the slogan of do or die, right, in order to curb the violence, right, and the disorder in the society. British government came up with the act called as Armed Forces Special Powers Act of SPA. It confers on the members of armed forces special powers to rein in suspects in areas declared as disturbed, on account of insurgent activities, correct? So they can, enter into the premises, into property without any, search warrant. They can also, arrest any person. They can also, open fire against the person. Now it has been seen that AFSPA has been abused, and there are many cases which are pending in the court where it is being alleged that AFSPA has been abused, right? Any which ways, as I said, that AFSPA came into being in the year 1942 and to control the activities in Quit India movement. Later, Jawaharlal Nehru, introduced, the parliament again introduced it in the year 1958, right? It has been in force in Manipur since 1980, and the alleged acts committed under it are the reasons why activist Iram Sharmila has been on hunger strike since 2000, right? So arrest suspicious people without warrant, destroy any structure suspected to house an arms dump, right? Even the armed officials can fire upon or use force against any person acting in contravention of the law, right? So in this sense, AFSPA bars prosecution or proceedings, right? So there would be no proceedings which would take place except with center's nod against personnel for action committed while exercising powers under the act, right? So I hope we are clear with AFSPA. Let us understand the issue. Now I have a strong feeling that it may be asked in the examination that AFSPA is applied in which all areas or which all states see the operation of AFSPA. Guys, all the northeast states, all the 7 northeast states see the operation of AFSPA, plus Jammu and Kashmir, right? So all the 7 sisters, all the 7 states of northeast see the operation of AFSPA plus Jammu and Kashmir, correct? But it happened that in 2015 it was repealed in Tirupura, and in 2018 it got repealed in Meghalaya, right? So out of the 7 northeast states, it has been repealed from Tirupura and Meghalaya, right? So 7 minus 2, right? 5 states in northeast do see the AFSPA, correct? Plus Jammu and Kashmir. As far as Arunachal Pradesh is concerned, some selected areas see the application of AFSPA, right? See, AFSPA would always be there, right? But its application would come into force only when any area is declared as disturbed area. Right. So until unless the area is not being declared as disturbed area, you cannot apply AFSPA, correct? So in Arunachal Pradesh, there are some areas which are declared as disturbed area where AFSPA is being applied. Meghalaya, it is completely removed. Tirupura, it is completely removed, right? Now Manipur, we have elections now, right? So the Manipur politicians are saying that AFSPA has to be removed because armed officials have committed abuses, human rights violations in the name of AFSPA. Now the details that I have just shared are there on the screen. Now AFSPA was implemented in the northeast states, Jammu Kashmir plus Punjab, right? So as I said that all the 7 northeast states saw the application of AFSPA plus Jammu and Kashmir. I'm talking about its original act of 1958, right? So all the northeast states, Jammu Kashmir and Punjab, right? So you know that in Punjab also there was militancy, correct? So in order to curb the militancy there, AFSPA was being imposed, but it was first repealed in Punjab, right? Then in Tirupura in 2015 and finally in Meghalaya in 2018, right? So in Punjab also it's not there, but originally it was there, correct? It is still applicable in Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur with exception of 7 Imphal constituencies, right? So in Manipur also it is applicable in selected areas or disturbed areas. In 7 Imphal assembly constituencies it is not applicable, right? And parts of Arunachal Pradesh, correct? Now the disturbed areas, where has AFSPA been imposed, right? So AFSPA covers all the northeast states, even though it does not apply until a particular region is designated as disturbed area. The same thing that I have discussed, right? The act is not currently imposed in Mizoram, Tripura and Meghalaya, right? A separate Armed Forces Jammu Kashmir Special Powers Act has also come into being, right? You all know, guys, a human rights activist, Iram Sharmila, a Manipur-based activist, she initiated a 16-year-long hunger strike against AFSPA, right? And still Manipur is seeing AFSPA operating there, right? So these are some details about AFSPA, right, where an official can fire upon or otherwise use force even to the causing of death, right? So even an official can arrest without warrant, even he can enter and search without warrant any premises. So they get some extraordinary powers, correct? But it has been seen that AFSPA has led to a culture of abuse, oppression and immunity, right? So that is the reason why many states are demanding that AFSPA be removed, right? As you can see, the act gives draconian powers to the armed forces to deal with insurgencies, right? And November 2004, a 5-member committee under the chairmanship of Justice BP Jeevan Reddy suggested that AFSPA should be repealed, right? So in 2004, a committee headed by Justice BP Jeevan Reddy suggested that the AFSPA be repealed, but still the government hasn't repealed it. Still continuing, right? I hope it is clear. Right. Now, guys, the next news article in the Hindu, where China is saying that Quad and AUKUS are the cliches in America Indo-Pacific strategy. We know, guys, that China is increasing its influence in the South China Sea, right? In order to counter China, America has joined hands with, India, Japan and Australia, and this is called as Quad, the group of 4, Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, QSD, right? And it comprises of United States, India, Australia and Japan, correct? So it is a Indo-Pacific strategy of America to actually counter China, right? But Quad members say that it is not a defense pact or it is not a security alliance. Security is one of the features of Quad, and the other features definitely include free flow of goods and services, open trade, right? The Quad is also arranging the vaccines to the world. So many activities are today being done under Quad, right? Recently, guys, a few months back, you would be remembering that USA also entered into a pact with Australia. That means US and UK entered into a pact with Australia, wherein they would be supplying the nuclear propelled submarines. That means nuclear powered submarines. It is not that these submarines would be launching nuclear weapons. It is just that they would run by nuclear energy, right? So defense pact was being arrived between US, UK and Australia, and in short it is called as AUKUS, Australia, UK and United States, right? Now in this sense, Australia has become the second country for America, when America is supplying the nuclear powered submarines, right? So after UK, Australia has become the second country to which America is supplying nuclear powered submarines, and this joint venture is called as AUKUS. I hope it is clear. UK, US and Australia, right? Although, guys, just refer my previous lectures, my previous videos. You can see the details about Quad. We have discussed it in length, So I'll not go into deep here. So this is your Indo-Pacific region, which has India, Australia, Japan, etc., and China, because China is asserting its influence in the South China Sea. So therefore America, in order to counter China, is building its influence in the Indo-Pacific region. Now guys, there was a news that the first woman is being reported to be cured of HIV after stem cell transplant, right? Now she's the first woman to be cured from HIV and third person till date to be cured of HIV, and she was being cured by stem cell transplant therapy from the donor, right? Now stem cells, guys, are the cells which you can get from the bone marrow or umbilical cord, right? Or the right, and they actually they have the capacity to make into any cell, right? They can become a muscle cell or brain cell, etc., right? And in this sense a person gets an ability to fight the diseases, right? So the same thing happened where the transplantation of HIV resistant cells took place and a graft versus host disease system came into being, right? So 6 stages of stem cell therapy, right? Stem cell therapy is a form of regenerative medicine designed to repair damaged cells within the body by reducing inflammation and modulating the immune system, right? So here how it is being used, right? So as you can see, the stem cells come from fat tissue, umbilical cord, placental tissue, and umbilical cord blood and bone marrow, right? Now guys, let us come to the editorials of the Hindu. There was an editorial, guys, which talked about the federal judiciary. Guys, in India we do have dual polity. At the same time we also have dual judiciary. When I say dual judiciary, I mean my bad, it is the America which has dual judiciary and not India. Please clarify it, right? In India we have integrated judiciary. In India, guys, we have integrated judiciary. That means single set of courts, right? When I say integrated judiciary, I mean that Supreme Court, which is the apex court, can enforce both the central laws as well as the state laws, right? Whereas in America they have dual judiciary. That means Supreme Court can enforce the federal laws, whereas state courts can enforce the state laws, right? So there is a dual judiciary in America, whereas integrated judiciary in India, right? Now the article reads that we must examine the Indian judiciary and the need to strengthen the federal nature of our judiciary, right? It says that because the Supreme Court has overriding powers. I would not say overriding powers, but the fact is that the appointment of the judges into the various courts, be it the High Court or the Supreme Court, is being made by the collegium in Supreme Court, right? And that is the reason why Supreme Court has a strong say or strong role in the day-to-day administration of the High Court, or I would say the appointment in the High Courts, right? So therefore, although because the Supreme Court and the High Court are equal in that sense, even a Supreme Court was formed after independence, right? But High Court existed even in the Britishers' time, right? In the presidency capitals, right? So the article is saying that some of the high courts in our country have been in existence since 1860s, right? Since 1860s, and some existed even before that in their earlier avatars as Supreme Court of the presidencies, right? Now the Indian Constitution envisages the equality of power of High Court judges and Supreme Court judges. So in that sense, it should be very clear that the High Court judges and the Supreme Court judges are equals, right? There is no distinction and differentiation between the High Court and the Supreme Court judges, right? And this balance existed from independence onwards until the 1990s, right? Now, post 1990s, many things happened which tilted the center of power towards Supreme Court, right? Even you can see, guys, in emergency years, when it was imposed in the year 1975 till 1977, High Courts played a very significant role, and it stood out as a beacon of freedom, right? However, there is an imbalance in the federal structure of judiciary which has to be fixed. The collegium also has the power to transfer judges and the chief justices, right? So therefore the Supreme Court has more power in this sense, at least, right? Now, and in this way it favors a centralization of judiciary, right? Today the Supreme Court is also entering and adjudicating about the frivolous matters, right? For example, a person filed a petition with regard to Diwali cracking of bursting of crackers. The Supreme Court came up and it gave its decision that a particular time period would be decided where the crackers can be burnt, right? So in this way, Supreme Court is actually entering into or entertaining very frivolous matters, and similarly there are parallel hierarchies of courts in the form of administrative tribunals, which I just mentioned. Plus there are many regulators, independent regulatory commissions like Competition Commission of India, Company Law Tribunal, Consumer Court, etc., right? Now we concluded by hoping that the Supreme Court itself recognizes the importance of self-abnegation and restores the federal balance by re-empowering the High Courts. Now, so this is the broad myth of this article, where the author talks about the federal structure in Indian judiciary. Now, so it gives a background about A.V. Dicey and what he had to say for federalism. And we don't have dual judiciary, as I just mentioned. We have integrated judiciary. Dual judiciary is there in America. Supreme Court form one single integrated judiciary, having jurisdiction and providing remedies in all cases arising under the constitutional law, civil law, or the criminal law, right? So the High Court and the Supreme Court form one single integrated judiciary, right? So in India, what we have is single integrated judiciary, right? And they have jurisdiction and would provide remedies in all the cases arising under the constitutional law, civil law, and the criminal law, right? That means the Supreme Court would be enforcing both the central laws as well as the state laws, right? One can approach Supreme Court by way of appeal under its appellate jurisdiction, right? But in America, the SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, also in short called as SCOTUS, can enforce only federal laws. Federal laws means those passed by the Congress, and not state laws. For states, you have some inferior court or state courts, right? So they have dual judiciary, but we have integrated judiciary. Now, on the other hand, some of the high courts in our country have been in existence since 1860s, as I just mentioned, right? Now, the Indian Constitution has envisaged the equality of the power of High Court judges and the Supreme Court judges. So the judges for both the High Court and the Supreme Court are same. They have equal powers, and rejected the offer preferring to be the Chief Justice. So it is just a case where some High Court judges didn't wanted to become the judge of the Supreme Court. Instead, they said it is better if we become the Chief Justice of the High Court. So Supreme Court has on many occasions reiterated the position that the Supreme Court is superior to the High Court only in the appellate sense, right? So Supreme Court is superior to the High Court only in the appellate sense. That means it is the apex court, and it is the highest court, right? A aggrieved person who is not satisfied by the decision of the higher court can definitely appeal to the Supreme Court, and decision of the Supreme Court would be final. So a delicate balance is required to be maintained between the Supreme Court and the High Courts in order for the constitutional structure dreamt of by Ambedkar, right? So it's saying that, but this tilt has shifted towards Supreme Court, because Supreme Court is actually appointing the judges into the high courts. It is also appointing the chief justices into the high court, correct? Right. So here the parallel hierarchies which are being created, like Competition Commission, etc., they also put a challenge over the Supreme Court, right? So this article basically talks about having a federal judicial structure in India which should not be tilted or inclined towards a particular court, say Supreme Court, right? I hope it is clear. Now, moving to the next article. After the budget's crypto signal, India awaits reforms. Guys, we all know that in the Union Budget, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman imposed a tax of 30%, right, over the gains coming from the any transaction in virtual currencies, right? Now, in that sense, people are thinking that it is a move towards actually at least recognizing them as legitimate, because when you're putting something into a tax radar, that actually means that they are being accepted by the government, right? Now, so they announced 30% flat tax rate levied on any gains made from the transfer of virtual assets, including cryptocurrencies and non-fungible tokens, NFTs. So guys, we learned it in our class on budget about non-fungible tokens. Now, non-fungible token means those I would say exchange those things which have distinct value, right? And it is not that you can exchange it for another, right? For example, you can exchange a ₹10 note for other, right? Similarly, you can exchange a Bitcoin for another, but you cannot exchange a non-fungible token or NFT, right? So normally the non-fungible tokens are irreplaceable tokens, and I expect a question on this. They are irreplaceable tokens, and they are used to prove ownership of digital assets, right? So they are used to prove the ownership of the digital assets such as music, even tweets and memes, right? The unique feature of NFT is that it cannot be exchanged for another NFT, right? Because the two are different. Let's say the value of NFT used in music is different from that of tweets, right? So the two are different and therefore unique, correct? So you cannot exchange them. However, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum are fungible. Even the currencies are fungible, right? It can be exchanged, right? Whereas non-fungible tokens cannot be exchanged, right? So the tax rate of 30% would be levied on the transaction of the virtual digit assets, on any gain which is being made on virtual digit assets, right? So the article is actually exploring about the the budget's crypto signal and India awaiting the larger reforms with regard to digital currencies, right? So in this way, the article is saying that there is high time that crypto be made a splash in the country, right? And observing that the 30% flat tax rate is a harsh rate, this is a premium and price well worth paying in exchange for what is effectively a ruling out of a prospects, right? Now, this article also talks about DeFi or decentralized finance activities, because such transformations would involve DeFi, such as staking, lending, and providing liquidity among others, right? So DeFi is the word for decentralized financing, right? Is an umbrella term for financial services on public blockchains, right? So all the decentralized financing, guys, comes under DeFi, right? With DeFi, one can do most of the things that banks support. For example, earning interest, borrowing or lending or buying insurance, tax derivatives, trade assets, etc., right? So DeFi is a term used for decentralized finance, and in this way all the activities like lending, staking, providing liquidity, etc. are being covered under DeFi. And in this way, using DeFi, one can operate as a bank by earning interest, borrowing, lending, buying insurance, etc. Right? So DeFi is global peer-to-peer. Right? So there are potential concerns, guys, because when the cryptocurrency issue is there is the community of small and medium scale enterprises, small and medium sized enterprises, SMEs, and lower and high net worth individuals. Now the very community that has the most to gain from decentralized finance is going to find it most difficult to access the ecosystem, right, given the substantial barriers posed by the tax rates, right. So imposing tax rate would be detrimental to the interest of SMEs and many high net worth individuals, HNIs. So unless radical reforms are not undertaken to liberalize the system, they may go unchecked, right. So although the government has declared that digital central bank digital currency, or CBDC, or RBI's I would say cryptocurrency would be launched soon, and in this way it would definitely help in pushing for the adoption of digital currencies, right. But at the same time it may defeat the fundamental purpose of cryptocurrency, which is decentralization, right, because cryptocurrency works on the concept of DeFi, right, decentralized finance. And when RBI is issuing a digital currency in the form of CBDC, then it would actually kill the objective of cryptocurrency, which is decentralization, right. So this article actually explores over these things, and in this article we have come through some key points like what is DeFi, how much is the tax rate which is being imposed, what is non-fungible tokens, how they are different from fungible tokens, right. So you can just go through this article, it would help you a lot, right. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session. We are done with the session. Good day, goodbye.